How can a vegetarian achieve 100 grams of protein in their diet day after day and on some of these days even without using a protein powder? If this sounds impossible to you, stay with me in this video till the end, as I will make it very easy for you to design a diet plan which has an ample amount of protein content, all coming from vegetarian sources. The truth is that our vegetarian foods are great source of protein, but there are only two small problems. Problem number one is that we don't know which of these food sources have how much of protein content, and they are coming at what cost of calories, which is how many calories are we consuming when we are consuming protein from these various food sources. And number two is that our current food eating patterns, our current dietary patterns are not designed in a way to help us achieve that 100 gram of protein day after day. In this video, I'll solve these two problems for you. But before that, let's quickly revise why do we need protein and how much of protein do we need on a day-to-day basis. Why do we need protein? Protein essentially helps us build muscles. If we are on a fat loss diet, if you're on a weight loss trajectory, we need to retain those muscles, and protein helps us retain those muscles. It helps boost immunity as well. Your muscles are not built when you're training in the gym. When you're training in the gym, you're actually signaling to the body that you need more muscles. It is when you're resting and you're feeding your body enough amount of protein that those muscles get developed over time. So protein becomes super crucial if you're looking at muscle growth. Protein is more satiating than carbs and fats. So if you're on a fat loss diet, which is you're on a calorie deficit, it will keep you fuller for longer and you will not have hunger pangs. Protein essentially is a group of amino acids. Some of these amino acids are essential. Some of these are non-essentials. Essential amino acids are the ones that we need to provide our body from outside through food. What you see on the screen is a list of essential amino acids. Just for your general knowledge, you don't need to remember them. You also don't need to understand which food has which amino acid and which does not, because we don't eat any of these plant foods in isolation. For example, the proteins which are missing in dal are there in rice, are there in wheat, and the protein which is missing in rice and wheat are there in the dal and the sabzis that we are having. So when you have them all together, all the essential amino acids are covered. As long as there is diversity in your diet, all essential amino acids will be covered while having a very, very good and healthy gut. I've talked about gut in detail in another video. You can check it out after this one. Now the next question is, how much of protein should we be having on a day-to-day basis? As per the WHO guideline, a sedentary person should have 0.8 gram per kg of body weight in their diet every single day. And that is a minimum basic requirement. If you're working out, if you're training extensively, whether it is endurance or strength training, as per sports nutrition, you should be having somewhere between 1.4 to 2 gram per kg of body weight every single day. Now let's understand the various vegetarian sources of protein. And we'll not look at individual items in our diet, but rather let's look at each of these items as a family, because that will make it easier for us to make these choices in our diet on a day-to-day basis. Also, the protein content and the quality of protein is quite similar in each of these families. So again, it makes it much easier to understand which one to pick and which one to not. Milk and milk products are a great source of protein. Not only they provide us with the protein, but they also provide us with various minerals and vitamins for our growth. Whether you are consuming milk or curd or yogurt or cheese or paneer, each of these are very, very rich in protein. The only problem with milk and its product is that it is high in fat content, which makes it a little bit higher on the calorie count. Fortunately, we have low fat options available. So if you opt for low fat milk or low fat paneer, you'll be able to get that high amount of protein without increasing your calorie count. The next on this list is soya and soya products. Soya chunks and tofu are very, very rich sources of protein. In fact, there are other products of soya as well, which are not so popular in India right now, like tempeh, soy milk, etc., which are also good sources of protein. The third on my list is lentils or dals. So your urad, moong, masoor, chana, all these dals and their sprouts, besan and sattu, they fall in this category. They are good but not great sources of protein. By tweaking our eating habits a little bit, we can easily utilize lentils to get more protein in our diet. The fourth one in the list is nuts. So whether it is your peanuts, cashews, almonds, etc. They are also good sources of protein, but they are very, very high in calories. It is very easy to overeat these nuts and consume a lot of calories, but if you're consuming in moderation, like 15-20 grams every single day, that's a great way to add protein and healthy fats in your diet. The next one on the list is whole grains. You would be hearing a lot about quinoa and oats being rich sources of protein, but whole wheat is also quite rich in its protein content. The sixth and the final one is protein powders. There are two protein powders that you can consider in your diet. Number one is whey protein. Whey is nothing but another milk product. Milk is essentially made of two kinds of protein, whey protein and casein protein. Whey protein is the leftover after you extract paneer from milk. The second protein powder you can consider is vegan protein. It is made from brown rice and peas or mutter. The reason these two are mixed together is to give you a complete amino acid profile. Protein powders are super easy and convenient way to add protein in your diet. Now, using all this information, we can easily create a diet which has 100 grams of protein in it. What we need to do is to pick a few items which will be stable and a few items which can be rotated, so that we don't need to think every single day if we are meeting that protein requirement. As you can see from the table, I have arranged each of the food items that I've talked about so far in the video in terms of their calorie content per gram of protein that they're providing. 1 gram of protein is actually 4 calories. If we do the maths, we realize that the amount of protein varies throughout the chain, being quite high at the top 75% and around 8% at the bottom, which is your whole rice. Now, in order to meet our protein goals, what we have to do, as I had mentioned earlier as well, you have to pick a few items which are stable in our diet, and those food items have to be high in protein. So let's categorize each of these food items in 3 different labels. The first level being the highest priority ones, P1, the second being P2, and the third being P3. So we have to pick something from P1 in order to meet our protein goals on a day-to-day basis. For the sake of this video, I will include anything which is above 40% protein in P1, anything between 20 to 30% protein in P2, and anything below 20% in P3. So what we have to do is we have to make sure that 50 to 60% of our protein content comes from P1, and the rest of the 40 to 50% of protein content comes from P2 and P3. This will also ensure that we have that variety in our diet. Now, using all the information that we have gathered so far in the video, we can easily create a diet plan using ChatGPT. Let me show you how. I'll go to ChatGPT and I will ask it to design an Indian vegetarian diet plan in a table format with breakfast, lunch, snacks, and dinner, which is under 1800 calories, has 100 grams of protein, has no protein powders, has diverse sources of commonly used plant products for a good gut health. ChatGPT has given this amazing plan which you can use on a day-to-day basis. On days that you don't want to have paneer, you can switch it with tofu, or you can switch it with soya chunks. On days you are cooking bhindi or gobi or some other vegetable, you can just add a scoop of protein powder and that will fulfill your protein requirement, which is why I did not ask GPT to include protein powders in the diet plan. Also, on days you have missed having besan chillas, you don't feel like having sprouts, again you can use 1 or 2 scoops of protein powder to fulfill your protein requirement. Hoping this helps. This is Vivek signing off. Like, subscribe, share, and take care.